27th, 2023. I'm here with my man Matt and Billy Kruep. What's up,
What's going
dude?
on, guys?
Representing that 217.
Absolutely, always.
I think you're the only sponsored athlete he's got, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm the lowest paid too.
Lowest paid.
Yeah,
So, I tell you what, the first thing I do notice is that beautiful gladiator you got back there.
yeah.
Two
I
of
got a
them.
silver one over there and a bronze one right there. I'm just missing the gold one.
Missing that gold one. You gonna get it this
Yes,
year?
I hope so. Well, it don't sound like left hand's gonna go too good,
Yeah.
but
So
might
how
still
long you
be
been
up.
pulling? About as long as me? 8, 9 years?
Actually, probably
Competitively?
competitively, yeah, probably 7. I think my first tournament was in 2012, and I was just messing around. I was at the bar when they had Illinois State back when Blaine ran
Mm-hmm.
it, and buddies talked me into pulling, and I ended up second in the amateur class. And it was at the time where I was still fighting, so I didn't. I took a few years off, and I think my when I actually started pulling was 2017, so something like that.
Okay. That's when you showed back up over at Brewski's.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Kicked my ass. I remember that one. So, you train with Gateway. You train on our team. I got to ask a little bit about your training regimen because you kind of only pop in so often. So you what do you do? Mainly gym time, and then supplement that with table time.
I do a lot of gym, a lot of weights, a lot of bands. Work out probably 5 days a week, most weeks if I'm not working. And then every once in a while I'll go get on a table, but I hurt so bad after getting on a table that it takes me a week or two to recoup. So it's hard.
Don't blame you.
Matt
Same. I'm
Matt
100%.
used to always tell me that I pulled too much, and I think he adopts your strategy a little more.
Absolutely.
I
I just I can't I don't feel confident enough if I just pull on a table without lifting weights because you can have a bad day on a table and get run through by everybody. But you can watch the numbers with the weights and usually tell if you're progressing or not.
yeah. I'm 100% on board with that. I'm the same. If I was training once a week, like I would never fully heal. My tendons and ligaments would hurt consistently to the point like where I couldn't lift. So even after, that tournament in Brewski's, a month ago, I was still tender for like 3 weeks afterwards to the point like where I couldn't train side pressure up until about, a couple days ago. So I'm 100% on board with that. Um, as far as your training goes, not specific to the table, but are you a big fan of using multiple handles and things like that, or do you just consistently use free weights?
I kind of do both. I have a bunch of handles, but I maybe only use one or two of them, and they seem to work. I got a pretty set lift schedule, and I stick to that. I'll work in some different stuff every now and then, but for the most part, you work out with me once, you could work out with me any day of the week because I usually do the same stuff. It works, keeps working, so I keep doing it until it stops.
You don't get bored with it?
Yes and no. Like getting training for if like a regular Brewski's tournament or something where you got one every other month or so, it kind of gets monotonous. But like when you reached out for me to pull Scott, and I had that to look forward to now, it lights a new fire. When I'm training for something, I like to take it as like when I fought MMA. I take my super matches the same as I would leading up to a fight. When you train specific, you got a goal. You're training for one guy. You got one match, and then the tournament is just extra.
Did you have a lot of fights that you got to go into without having to cut weight?
At the beginning, my first 3 fights, I didn't cut any weight. I walked around I say I didn't cut any weight. I walked around like 160, maybe 165 on a good day, and fought. I had one fight at a catch weight of 160 and one fight at 155. But my last four, I was fighting 145. So I cut quite a bit of weight.
It's a lot.
So the reason I was asking was because you normally would pull 172s at this tournament, and this match is taking place at 190. So you get to come in healthy and thick. So
Yes,
do you think that's an advantage for you?
I think it is. If it's not, it's an advantage for my confidence and my mindset going into it. Because, and I blame 190-pound Billy on Dalton Duncan, because I came into that fight, or that match, maybe a little not underestimating him, but overestimating me at 172, and then I botched my weight cut. I botched my rehydration. Not saying it would have changed the outcome, but it probably would have been a little better match. And then after that match, I just told myself, I'm going to eat, I'm going to lift weights, whatever my body does, it's going to do, and I'll adjust from there. So, and that's where I'm at right now. So
you like 190?
Yeah, I was going to say, you walk around pretty close to 190, don't you?
yeah, if I'm not, like right now, I'm eating pretty heavy, and I'm doing my creatine and stuff like that. So I got a lot of water weight on me. I'm walking around 190, 191, 193 if I eat an extra cupcake.
So have you done any research on Scott? When I reached out to you, Scott had hit me up and was asking for a couple guys that I wasn't able to make happen. They weren't going to be able to make the date anyway, and you came to mind as just a good match, what I thought, for his style. You guys are both kind of hand guys, and I don't know. I just liked the matchup. He took it pretty quick. You took it pretty quick. What do you think? Just jumping in that. Do you not care if I would have thrown you anybody? Would you just taken it, or was there something about Scott that made you say yes?
Yes and no. I mean, when you said Scott Wynn, he's been around for a while. He's a good puller. He's a strong puller. He's got wins over some decent dudes, but it's a winnable match for me. And depending on how I go about it, it could be a very easily winnable match, or it could go completely opposite and be a war, and I'll be shot for the tournament. So. But I think that's why I like that match. It's a winnable match. He's a strong puller. He's been around for a while. He's got a strong hand. I got a strong hand. So it's gonna come down to who's better on that day. And if I come out ahead, it's gonna be a big win for me. So it helped me make up my mind if I was pulling 72 or not.
Right. So if it doesn't go well, you might think of dropping again. Is that the?
No. I was on the fence of cutting to 72 for this tournament, and you reached out with Scott, so it just made my mind up for me.
Gotcha. So if the tournament goes well, then maybe you'll see how you feel.
Yeah, I'll be around. I'll probably be around 190 for a while. There's a couple tournaments that may pop up in the near future where you might see me at 76, 72. That's a big ask, because I don't care what anybody says. That last 4 pounds is 3-4 pounds is rough.
Yeah. I agree, no. and if it is, then I think you probably are that 190 guy. Unless you just want to die down and be the smaller guy. And that's why I still stick to those two classes at least, or the 3 break 172, 190, 210. I think it really splits up the amount of guys we have and the amount, the size that everybody is.
Absolutely. Now, if there was at Illinois State, they used to have the 87 class. If that was around, I could make that no problem. A lot of people could make that no problem, but then you're just withering away at the other weight classes.
now that you know that you're going to be pulling, you don't have to cut, you have your regiment for working out. Does your mindset on your training changed all now that you have a super match ahead of you? Are you deviating from your normal regiment and doing some different things based on his style, or are you staying straight to your plan and you're going to continue to do what you do best? Or is there any little deviations you do? I'm always interested to hear the training aspect because people sometimes change, some people don't. It's always different. So
I I don't really change much. I go in there trying to be the best at what I can do. And most of the time it gets me through or gets me close and we adjust there. I did the same thing fighting. I never worried about what the other guy could do. You're locking yourself in a cage with somebody and you're going to fight them. Just everything will work itself out.
Do you compare arm wrestling to fighting?
It's got a lot of similarities. It does. I do. Like I said, I'd kind of take training the same, where I train a lot. I I train a little bit different when it comes to tournament rather than training for a specific person. Not much, but a little bit. And it is. And then you got I consider me being in camp right now for Scott. So taking it all but day by day, not trying to get injured, just stay healthy and come in the strongest I can on the 21st.
Yeah, which we are, what, less than 4 weeks out? Is that right?
Yes.
So if you're part in camp right now, then how long do you train before you just cut it off? Or do you just train all the way up till a certain point? Do you just lighten it up?
I'll probably go, well, yeah, last week was my first heavy week. So I'll do, what do we say? We got 4 weeks left. So I'll probably do another week to 2 weeks of heavy and then taper off, do light blood flow stuff. And then the last week, I probably won't touch a weight.
Coming fresh. And then what's the result going to be of this match?
It's difficult to call it. I'm not a cocky person. I'm not a shit talker. And I know Scott's going to come in. I think that if he really does pull the week before, he's going to regret it. But I think it's going to be a good match. I see the score going 3-1 in my favor. But I've been wrong before.
Do the matches go to the straps?
If he's going to hang on, if he gets to the losing side of the table and decides to hang on to my hand, he's going to lose. If he goes to the strap, I think he's going to lose. So it is what it is. I know he doesn't like it. I'm not one to bail. I'm not going to bail and try to go to the strap. I can guarantee that. But you get two guys with two strong hands fighting for hand control, and it's just what's going to happen.
Gotcha. So let me talk to you about some of the other matches on this card and get your thoughts on them. Do you know who Lincoln Munger is?
I know the name, but I don't know much about him.
He's up against Tim Lewis at 205 left hand.
Okay, left-handed. I know Tim. I know how his left is, and I know how he pulls. So Tim stops the match. It's going to be a long day for Lincoln. Long, long day, and I'll go 3-1 Tim, unless he flashes Tim. If that match stops, anybody in arm wrestling knows Tim's probably going to win it.
Yeah, I haven't got Lincoln on yet to get his thoughts, and I really don't know much about him as far as his style of pulling. I haven't seen a lot of video on him, so he seems like he's going to hook him. He could just be saying that. I'm not sure how many people actually try to get into the hook with Tim, but I guess we're going to find out.
Here's the thing: anybody can hook Tim. It's beating Tim in a hook is the different story.
Right.
Like how many people do you see just pull through him in a hook? Like very seldom. And that's for a reason. He's a tank inside. So, I applaud his effort if that's where he's going with it. I think he's got his work cut out for him, and he might surprise everybody in the venue and beat Tim in a hook. But I think after the first match or two, he's going to be like, "Yeah, abort this mission. We're going to have to go a different route if he wants to."
Mm-hmm.
But this is my opinion.
Yep, I agree. I think he's going to have to go outside hard and fast and try to pin him off go. Because, like I said, if that match stops, it's tough to beat Tim.
Yep.
We got another left-handed match after that with one of your teammates, Oscar Anderson, and Joel Cagle. And this match is it's a 172 match. Left-handed. What do you think?
Oscar 3-0.
Oscar 3-0. Just from pulling with him. Do you know much about Joel as well? Have you gripped up with Joel?
I haven't. I've never gripped up with him. I've never seen him in person pull, but I've pulled Oscar and I've felt that left hand, and I don't think Joel's got it.
What about Caleb Velasco and Sam Taylor on the right side?
Right. Sam is just too strong, I think. And again, I don't know much of Caleb. I watched I think he just had a super match in Cali not too long ago.
Yeah.
Scott Wynn pulled on the card.
Yeah.
And he seemed strong there. So, but I really don't, again, I've never seen him in person. I've never gripped up with him. So I'm going to have to go with Sam 3-1, maybe 3-0.
He's so unassuming strong. Like you look at him, you think he's going to go do your taxes, and then you grip up with him, and you're like, where did this guy come from?
Yes, just hang on because he's going to take you for a ride.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you have gripped up with Cody Vanderwoerd, and
Absolutely.
He's facing Cole Casper, right-handed at 176. Have you gripped up with Cole?
And I haven't. And I feel bad now that I watched Cole's interview because he's the only one that says, I'm going to smoke Scott. So, Cole, I appreciate that. But it can go 3-2 either way in this one. Cody, I can honestly say Cody's one of the only guys other than your Jamie Sheldons, your Bob Browns, your Bill Logstons that I've walked up to the table like, man, if I don't get this right, he's going to smoke me. Because every time I go to the table with him, if I miss a setup, if I miss go, he's going to light you up. And so, and if it's going to go, if Cole thinks he's going to stop him on the inside and go to a hook war, it's going to be a good match, and it's probably going to be match of the night, in my opinion. Because the only thing I think Cody needs to do is because Bill, I've pulled Cody a million times. I have a winning record on Cody, but every time I go up to pull him, I'm a nervous wreck because he's strong. Like I said, if I miss go or miss the setup, he's going to beat me. And every time, he's the only person I've pulled that when we go up to the table and grip up, the refs don't even touch our hands. We're there, we're set up, fair grip, and the ref just says go. I think he needs to be a little more aggressive, fight a little more in a setup, would benefit him. But Cody's my guy, just from going to war with him as many times as I have. So I'm going to have to go. It could go either way, but I'm going to go 3-2 Cody.
Do you think it stays in the hook every match, or do you think he's going to try to go outside at all?
I don't know. I think one of them tries to go outside at least once. You have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think a lot of it's going to be inside.
I agree. I don't think you see anybody going outside until maybe third or fourth match. Somebody's got to make a change. Who makes the first
Right.
adjustment to try to
I
win.
think maybe that last match,
Yeah.
try to throw something different at them and catch them off guard. I think that's the only time you'll see it.
Another teammate of yours, Mirzad Kabric, taking on the Gateway killer, Bo Olsen.
Yeah, those psycho guys are tough, all of them, and I think Mirzad's going to surprise a lot of people with his knowledge and his strength. He's training hard. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, but I think Bo 3-1. Unfortunately, Mirzad will be there one day and one day real soon, but Bo's a tall task for anybody. So I got to go Bo 3-1.
And then another psycho guy, Jake Houston, follows that up against Kevin Palco, who has been everywhere lately.
Yeah,
Palco's ranked number 5, 155, but this match is at 165.
I don't know, took over that number one spot, and I think he was just overwhelmed with matches. He took a lot of matches in a short period of time. And I've never pulled Paco right-handed. I had a war with him at the last strongest badge left-handed. So I know he's strong. But again, I don't think I've ever sat down and talked to Jake, but when he was going through all his stuff, I reached out to him and talked to him a little bit and helped him get all that information out and helped him as much as I could from way out here with him being where he was. So, and lately he's been on a tear. So I'm gonna have to go Jake 3-2. I think it's gonna be a good match. Again, possible match of the night, but I'm gonna have to go Jake 3-2.
You're pretty familiar with Dalton Duncan as well.
This is the one I'm waiting for.
But I don't think you've pulled Austin Tevis. Have you?
Nope, never even touched his hand. I was hoping to make Illinois State this past year because I heard all them guys were going to be there, and daughter had cheer. We were up in Springfield that weekend, so I didn't get to make it. But this one, again, if Austin takes Dalton lightly, Austin is going to be in a world of hurt. I believe that 100% because it happened to me. I've never felt what I felt in the strap with Dalton with anybody else. And like I said, I feel like I got a strong hand. And Dalton, he just put me in his position where he was strong and there wasn't nothing I could do about it. There wasn't no way I could stop it. It's just a different feeling when you're in the strap with him.
Do you think that he can avoid the strap, or do you think that it's going there no matter what?
Everybody says Austin again. I haven't even touched Austin's hand. They say he's got a strong hand, and it's hard to get out of. But I think if Dalton wants to get out of your hand, he's going to get out of your hand. And if he can keep it out of the strap, I think Austin wins. But if it goes to a strap, I think he's going to have to switch his game plan up and try to figure some stuff out because Dalton's going to make him feel like he don't have a hand at all. And I think if it goes to a strap, 3-1, maybe 3-2 Dalton. If it stays out of a strap, then I think Austin has a better chance. If he can just suck it in tight and get in a hook without the strap, I think Austin wins 3-2.
Interesting.
We were spot on all the picks until we got to that one. I think
Yeah.
you got a little bit different than I, but to be fair, you pulled Dalton, so you know what he's all about, so you have a different perspective. But I think even if it goes to straps, I think Austin's too much for him. I think everybody's chasing him in that class right now, in my opinion, just based on everything I've seen, and I haven't gripped up with him either. I hope to get that opportunity in St. Louis next month, but just what he's shown, I mean, he hasn't. He's just strong for that size. I mean, he's just incredibly strong. And the things he's done to bigger opponents has been pretty impressive too, right? So, like guys that have 20, 30, 40 pounds on him, he's just going through them. So, I don't know if I see that with Dalton per se, like in a tournament setting. So that's what's interesting to me is if they do lock up and it's a grinder, what does Austin have in the gas tank? Because I haven't seen him in one of those type situations yet where he's got to grind it out and find something different to make it work. So I'm interested to see if that's this match.
Yeah. And like I said, I've felt Dalton in his strap. He's tricky, and he's gonna aggravate Austin the way he sets up in that strap.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's gonna be interesting because there's absolutely ways it could go 3-0 either way. There's ways it could just be a grinder.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I know a lot of people aren't giving Dalton the credit that I think he deserves, and giving him the benefit of the doubt in this match, and just saying Austin's going to run through him, that he doesn't even deserve the match. But I think Dalton's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I would be highly surprised if it's a sweep. I don't think that's even like, to me, there's less than 1% chance that somebody gets swept. I think it's very close. And I think the strap is going to dictate the difference in the match. So I'm interested to see, like you said, is Austin going to be able to maintain and handle what Dalton does in the setup and adjust to that. But another side note to that, I would also like to see you and Dalton run it back too. I'd like to see you guys pull again.
I want that one back too.
Yeah.
Me now is nowhere close to what I was back then.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Dalton about it and told him about it. So we may run into each other again.
Do you think you'd have to drop down to 172 to make that match happen? I'm not sure what Dalton's weight in, but I'm pretty sure he walks around right at that weight.
Maybe. There's talks of a 76 round robin next year, but round robins could go either way too. I hope if it comes down to it, I can get him at 76. But he's beat me, so ball's in his court.
Well, you're the first one to be able to comment on this match because it's freshly added. So our teammate, Brent Rockers, you're very familiar, taking on Scott Ballinger in a left-handed match. 220 pounds.
220.
Basically. There's really no cap, but they're both a pound apart right now anyway. So
I got you. You know I got to go with Brent. His left hand is ridiculous when it's healthy. Has Scott been pulling a lot lately? I haven't seen much.
His left, he's been pulling with. His right still injured, but he did just win Michigan State not long ago. And then he won last year Michigan State as well.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a good match. Again, it's going to come down to adjustments and who can do what to get to their spot. But I think Brent wins. I'm not going to give a score because I don't know. But after seeing what I know, it was right-handed. After seeing what he did to Dan Mosier, if Brent puts his mind to it and trains and is healthy, he's the best 210 guy in the United States, in my opinion.
Well, he is number one, so that would make that list accurate for sure. Ballinger's ranked number 11 at 230, but he's kind of been a little bit inactive as of late, so I think that's why the ranking's kind of low. I think he's actually probably a little better than what his rank shows. Super explosive, super powerful. But a good match because Brent was the overall left-handed champ at Strongest Badge 2. It didn't come to 3, but Ballinger was the overall champ in 2000 or in Strongest Badge 3 after a super match. And then Brent actually did win in 4 because he bowed out of the match after a long match with Pollard, and Devin Bear won it, but he turned around and won it in 2005 or in Strongest Badge 5. So there's a lot of history with those guys winning this event and the overalls, even though we're not doing them this year. So it's good to see them going against each other.
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's going to be a fun match to watch. But like I said, I think Brent's left is on another level. I know Scott's good, and I know he's on that level too. But I think Brent's going to figure out a way to get the win.
I didn't ask you what your ref preference would be in your match. Do you have a referee preference?
Not necessarily, but if I had to pick two, it'd probably be Sean and Leonard. Only because probably Pat, maybe Pat, because I've pulled with him more. I hear Leonard's voice in my dreams. So, and Sean too, with his wrist. I hear that anytime I close my eyes.
It's interesting to me you pick those two because their cadence is so different on Ready Go, right? You know, that's interesting. Like Leonard is more methodical, where Sean's like he's just saying go, and he's just like go at it. You know, at least that's what he hasn't reffed any of my matches yet, but just from watching the videos, you can see you can just hear the cadence difference between the two.
But like I said, Pat, all the refs are good that you got. You got good refs. But I'd have to go with Leonard, Sean, or Pat. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Matt, to your point, they have very different cadences, but they're both very consistent. So although they are different, Sean he still does the exact same thing like every time. So it does make it. I prefer consistency because as long as they're consistent, I can usually time it okay. It's when they're not consistent that it throws me off a bit. So
I agree, and I will say too, out of the tournaments I've been to, as far as consistency and just talking to the pullers, you don't hear any outstanding issues with the reffing that's been in place with this tournament. I think it's been very consistent, throughout the years you've had it. Whereas sometimes it's hit or miss with other tournaments, depending on if they change refs or who comes in. So I think that kind of says a lot for the tournament and your judgment on who to bring in to ref. You don't hear a lot of griping, if you will, about the tournament reffing. So I think it's the testament to you being able to find the right guys for the tournament.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely do. What do you think, Billy, about the matches being on Friday night? Do you think that's a positive?
I like it. It kind of gives you something to do on weigh-in night, for one, for some of the guys that are getting there to weigh in. And it makes Saturday not necessarily quicker, but a little better because you don't have all these matches at the beginning and then these guys are turning around and trying to pull a tournament right after their super match or something like that. And you kind of being on Friday night, that's all you got going on. You put the spotlight on the super matches and that's it. You get these guys that are coming in just for the super match on Friday night. And if you don't want to pull a tournament, they're not going to turn around and drive back home. They're going to stick around. They're going to watch the tournament. They're going to hang out. They're going to after pull. And that's just what it's going to be. So I like it. I like that there's not 1,000,001 super matches. So, and they're on. I like the Friday night schedule for sure.
What about as a competitor? Do you think it's going to affect you in the tournament? Do you plan on still pulling the tournament with your right hand?
I do. And I mean, a super match is going to affect you whether it's the night before or the same day. It's probably going to affect you more if it's the same day rather
So you
than,
like it better with the day off?
yeah. And it's not even necessarily a day off. We're pulling at, what'd you say, 8 o'clock is when they start Friday night?
Yeah.
Around 8 o'clock. So these guys we're gonna arm wrestle Friday night, go home, sleep, and turn around and come back and arm wrestle Saturday. So you really don't even have a full day. So it's gonna be, I think, just having that little bit of recovery time is gonna make these guys pull better in a tournament, unless they really injure themselves or gas themselves out on Friday night.
Well, I appreciate you being a part of this event, man.
I I appreciate you asking.
I
I
look forward to
appreciate you, Adam.
your match with
You
Scott.
All my super matches have been, well, I've had one with Brian. That's it. Brian Kerner at the first nat pit. Otherwise, all my super matches have been on your card.
Well, you're deserving, man. You're a powerhouse. You always show up. You're a gamer, and I appreciate all of those things. So I like having you on the team, man. I love you as a person. So I wish you luck in your match, and thank you again for being a part of it.
Hey, no problem. Again, thanks for having me. I'll do my best to bring the win back to Gateway. Send Scott back to California with a loss. So hopefully
We'll
it
see
works
how
out.
it goes. Hopefully he decides not to pull at Arizona, and he just goes and hangs out. And but we'll see. You know, maybe he's that confident.
If 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 he pulls in Arizona, he's going to come into St. Louis and be surprised. We'll just put it that way.
All right, man. Well, I probably won't see you until, until Strongest Bad. So train safe, my man, and we will talk soon. Thanks again for talking to us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.